Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Some of you guys are sleeping in today. Well, I guess it's time to take another ride on the ghost train, huh? I want to talk to you about things, people, circumstances that influence us and how that might be detrimental to you as a trader, developing trader, a person in general, a parent, a loved one, a spouse, a significant other. All these things tie together. And I have a funny way of looking back in my own personal life, and maybe it's a guilty pleasure for you as well. It's kind of like if you looked at your life and someone made it into a movie, what soundtrack would it use? Certainly, there'd be some favorite songs of your own, choosing that you would like to be implementing it as part of the soundtrack. If your life was a movie, maybe it'd be a sampling of some old classics, maybe some rock, maybe some jazz, maybe hip hop, maybe rap, heavy metal, grunge. If you were to ask me the same question, when my life began as inner circle trader, it was one with a lot of anxiety, a lot of hopes and dreams, but deep down inside, underneath the skin, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it. Leaving a broken relationship, which we won't touch anymore because I've done it enough. But I felt like I had something to prove. But I was in my feels when I started learning how to trade. I was really in my emotions. And if you were to ask me what would my soundtrack be? Because while I was 20 by age, and they like to say the coming of age or coming of where you move from adolescence to adulthood might happen a little bit younger than 20. I really started living when I was 20. It was scary for me. I was at the most alone I've ever been, with the height of the majority of my friends were at the same time. You ever had that feeling where you know you have lots of friends. You have lots of friends that you've known forever, back to kindergarten, pre-K, but you still feel lonely, like you're alone, like you're in and of yourself an island, and no one can reach you, and you can't reach them. That's what it was like for me. And just to tap in as a segue into the previous message I was sharing with you last week, where I mentioned the young lady I was engaged to and met. Just want to mention her briefly, so that way it kind of makes a little bit of sense of what I'm referring to. Right before I met her, if you were to ask me, what's your favorite band? What's your favorite musician? What's your favorite songs? And over the years, you guys can see I have a very diverse palette for music. I like everything. I've always been a fan of music. It taps into the raw emotions of what you're going through right now and what you aspire to be and what you're afraid it's might come. And you're hoping that you can navigate around it. For me, it's Count. If there was one album that I could play for the rest of my life every single day and never get tired of it, it's August and Everything After. That would be my soundtrack. Every song in that order. You're going to have a lot of innuendos if you've ever listened to that band or even know what that album's about. I have a I have a guilty pleasure of thinking to myself, somehow Adam was in some kind of a sync with me at that time, Adam, the lead singer, when he composed all those songs. Because if there was any album, any song, any songwriter that ever tapped into how I was feeling and what I was going through, that man did it. Every lyric in every one of those songs means something to me. I have a memory attached to every single one of them. And when I met Shannon, go and list those songs. And that's exactly what that whirlwind relationship, romance, engagement, the whole thing was just like that, in that order. And I felt like the Rain King when I was around her. I felt like I deserved a little more. I deserved to be in the service of the Queen. And I made it rain every week for her. And she was a critical facet to me healing. A lot of the crows, counting crows, don't want to get mixed up with the crows, which I like too. A lot of those songs were inspirational to me doing well as a trader. And when I would study, when I would look at charts, when I was doing the actual charting, like drawing the open, high, low, and close on my price charts, that CD would be playing on repeat. Just sometimes I would randomize the play, shuffle it, but that was the CD that played. And this morning, when I got up around 2:30, I was thinking to myself, I used to worry that I was missing life because I wasn't going out to the clubs and the bars and doing the things that my friends were doing, what my murder of crows was doing. If you don't understand the title, when you have more than one crow or a group of crows, they don't call it a flock, they call it a murder of crows. And online, you know, online gaming and whatnot, Call of Duty and Battlefield and all those types of things. My name was always Murder of Crows. So that had a huge impact on me. And if there was a montage and my life was a movie, there would be Counting Crows songs playing. And there I am, bent over the charts, drawing the open, high, low, and close, sweat on my brow, worrying about the outcome. Silly, I know. But that's the kind of stuff you have to do. You have to romanticize yourself and what you're going through to get through it. Men can really resonate with that. They may not be admitting it in the presence of other people, but deep down underneath the skin, they know what I just said. This is true for them too. And with Shannon, I had the opportunity to be free. I let that bird underneath my skin that was nesting come out and spread its wings. And I shared the things that I would draw and write and my passions and where my direction in life was really aiming for. And I felt like she was going to be a part of it. So therefore, it was like rocket fuel. So I had a very encouraging member of my murder of crows in her. But the rest of the murder were not so. And because it was so good being around her, it blinded me to the negative, toxic relationships I had in others around me who I loved. Genuinely, brotherly love. And some of them stabbed me in the back. And I thought about that this morning when I woke up. I was sitting in our morning room, looking at the glowing lights of the deer's eyeballs as they look over the cars that pass through. I'm thinking to myself, years ago, all my friends were hopefully trying to make it home about this time from the bars and the clubs. And I was up reading, studying, looking at lines on a graph, and praying that these things were going to lead me to a lifestyle that I wouldn't regret not doing those things with them. friends, listeners, this morning it hit me like a ton of bricks. I am so thankful that I didn't do those things. I don't have any regret not having done so. I don't have any regret for pruning all of the toxic relationships and friendships that were really not friendships. They were holding me back. I can be honest with you and tell you my high school best friend, Larry, who we're not friends with each other anymore. A lot of the things I did in my early trading career, I was trying to trade and make big money to impress him. It was stupid. It was dumb. You show him, hey man, look at this. I made $500 on corn. Corn? Yeah, it's $50 per cent. If it moves 10 cents, you need $500. I had one contract on. And to me, that was big money. That was more money than I was earning in a week at my job. He was like, man, that's pretty wild. Can you teach me how to do that? That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what you want to hear when you tell your friends and family, look what I do. I made this. And you want them to say, wow, that was amazing. Can you teach me how to do that? I don't make enough money. If I had that, man, I could get that 5 liter GT Mustang. Because that's what he said back then. Until we sit down and we start looking at the charts, and then suddenly it requires a lot more thought, a lot more passion than simply saying, well, it seems like the lottery scratch offs. And if it works out consistently once in a while, I could pay my dream car's car payment. That was the extent of my friend's perspective on trading. And because I kept going and they were my friends, I drug them along. Now, some of them, honestly, if they were being honest with you today, especially the ones that we're no longer friends with, if you ask them, what's your opinion of Michael back then? Arrogant, conceited, self-centered, poser, like Alan. If you're a skater back in the late 80s, it comes to mind, doesn't it? Because I was trying to find myself. And I was living that montage moment every single day, trying to keep myself motivated because I had no motivation outside of that young lady that I met. So I started taking some inventory in friends and people that hung around me. And I started doing really well. And they were benefiting by being friends with me, associates more or less. And I started pruning them, stopped returning their phone calls, not returning their requests to hang out. Because when I would hang around them, I wouldn't feel good about myself. I felt like I was being used. And some of you right now might have that going on right now, and you're too afraid to prune it from your life because you don't want anybody to think that you're bad or you're not a good friend. When chances are you've probably been the better friend all along. You would probably bend over backwards to help the people that are around you that don't have any support structure for you, but you would gladly bend over backwards to do the same for them that you expect from them. The fact that you're pouring any amount of time and energy into improving yourself is a testimony that's really who you are. Some of you might say, I wouldn't do that. You would. If you have friends that you love, you would. But if the shoe's on the other foot, they wouldn't do the same for you. And unfortunately, I had friends, and I say that loosely, like that. And it became a deterrent to me doing well. It was influential in the sense that I wanted to do things just to rub their nose in it. Because some of them, albeit dating back to pre-K, I mean, it's before kindergarten, friends with them, and they would look at me cockeyed when I'd say, I'm going to make enough to buy a house cash in one trade. Now, saying that in 1993 didn't make any sense to anyone that I was raised as, remember, I came from a place that no longer exists, was referred to as Cardboard City, Villa Gardens. It literally was the lowest income housing, the cheapest building structure you could ever have. That's what ICT grew up in. So I tasted all of that poverty type stuff. I used to be on welfare. I had to go to the store and give food stamps to get milk and bread. And because I was raised on it, I wasn't embarrassed. I just figured that's how everything was. And as I grew up, my murder of crows, the part of the flock, the birds of a feather flock together, I was a little bit different. I was a little bit different. Slowly, I was the one that was the team captain everybody wanted to be on the side of. And I wasn't even good at sports, but I was influential. I would tell everybody when they had an idea, that's exactly what you should be doing right now. That's what I loved about Shannon because that's who I wanted to be as a person. I wanted to be an encourager because I wanted to be reciprocated with other people around me. And I wanted to be around a murder of crows with like minded goals, aspirations. Never have a limiting perspective. But I didn't have that in the murder of crows and friends I had growing up. I had doubters, I had lazy people, underachievers, dropouts from school, weed heads. And sad to say, a lot of them aren't even living anymore. Those that are have been married several different times, broken homes, in and out of jail several times. And you probably can relate. You know some people like that when you grew up with them. Now, not all of them are like that, mind you, but the majority of them are. And then ones that didn't do very well in life, they were the ones that doubted me most. And right now, you are in that August and everything after moment in your career. You're just now learning. You're just now tapping into, wow, this is an opportunity for me. I've never thought about doing this before. And you have other people around you that are basically your murder of crows. Like the expression is, birds of a feather flock together. And I didn't flock with them. They flocked with me. And as I gained more in financial stability, I could afford more things. My generosity allowed them to have the things that I was doing. When we went to the movies, I paid for everybody. Everything, drinks, popcorn, snacks, whatever. And after that, we went bowling, shooting pool, whatever we did, I paid for it. Now, in today's terms, it wasn't that much money. But back then, I was money bags. I was Rockefeller. And eventually I got to the point where I wanted to do that stuff because it made me feel better than them, because they made me feel less than I really was. And that's how a toxic relationship is balanced. Instead of letting go, you stay attached to it. And that has a detrimental effect on you as a trader because you're going to be thinking about external things as reasons to do something. Well, there really isn't a setup in the charts right now, but you know who I haven't really impressed in a long time? Kim. Yeah, Kim, I haven't seen her in about 7 years, but I just saw her on Facebook and a friend request suggestion came up. And I bet you that would be a wonderful icebreaker. If I say, hey girl, I ain't seen you in a while. Hope everything's good. But check this out. Look what I just did in high grade copper. What? Where are you? Where you been? And what are you talking to me about this for? It makes you do things and think things and act a way, and you really are uncharacteristically doing any other time because you're trying to win the affection or respect of people that don't have that same opinion of you. And with the invitation of being on social media, you feel that impulse more than ever. I'm going to show that person. I'm going to show ICT that I've been really studying. I can't wait to go out there every single day and show him and everybody that follows him what I'm doing. I'm a member of the Murder of Crows of ICT, the cult, the horde. And probably, I'm no escaping uh, this label. I could be very well be influencing you, not directly, but indirectly, because you feel the need that you have to live up to some expectation that I didn't place on you. And you're going to be doing things outside of your model. Or before you even establish the model you're going to follow, you're just going to dabble here and there and hopefully be able to share something. And they're all wrong because you're trading for an emotional response. And the worst thing that can happen is if you get it, then you're going to subconsciously think to yourself, well, this is success. This is how I define success.